You know, I put on this socialist party pen from the 1980s just to give myself a little bit of credibility for those on the left that are going to be perturbed by what I got to say. But I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and I hope you understand context, context as to what I'm going to say. As some of you know by now, Ron Paul's been suspended from Facebook. And why was he suspended from Facebook? Is because he criticized social media censorship by big tech. The reason mainly because he wrote about his opposition to Twitter and other social media outlets removing Donald Trump or giving Donald Trump the internet death penalty. Now, here's the thing: I am not a fan of Donald Trump. I did not support him. I do not support him. I would never support him. I want that known and clear. But having that said, I agree with Ron Paul. Um, thing about it is the difference between Ron Paul and myself is that I am currently too unimportant for Facebook to notice me or other social media outlets to notice my words and give me the internet death penalty. Not saying that they would not do it. I'm just saying that I'm too irrelevant at this point. But you know, I just, I mean, well, I mean, Twitter. Actually, I'm on Twitter now. If you look me up, American Social Democracy on Twitter. Even though I am on Twitter, I'm having trouble uploading my videos on Twitter, and other videos are being uploaded with relatively no trouble at all. And I do hope it's a glitch. I am going to contact Twitter eventually to find out what's going on. Because if it's a glitch that can be fixed, I may start utilizing Twitter a hell of a lot more. Ron Paul, this man is not dangerous. If anything, just the opposite. Now, I'm a socialist, and I'm sure if Ron Paul ever met me, he'll probably think I'm a scumbag for being a socialist, and that's fine and dandy. I'm not a libertarian, obviously, on economic positions, including Ron Paul's libertarian economics is terrible. It's just what I believe. Like Marxism, libertarianism works great on paper. Once it's put into practice, the human nature's element comes into play, and just like Marxism, libertarianism is guaranteed to fail too as an economic system. I'm not a Marxist, but yeah, some things that Karl Marx said were valid. I'm certainly not a libertarian, but I don't wholesale write everything that the libertarians have to say as off-putting either. There are some areas where libertarians are correct. Still, Ron Paul posed no danger to anyone. In fact, in spite of my disagreements with Ron Paul, I will tell you, in my opinion, and we never met, but I think he's a good man. Um, he's correct on the drug war. And I remember when I first heard of Ron Paul, and it was on the Morton Downey show back in 1988. I just graduated high school, and I was hearing about this loudmouth guy up in New York. I mean, Morton Downey. And Ron Paul made a hell of a lot of sense, and Morton Downey sounded like the dipshit everybody known him to be. And it was a radical position to legalize all drugs. And while Americans are not ready to legalize all drugs in the year 2021, I think that the majority of Americans are at the very least ready to legalize marijuana. I am on record of wanting to legalize marijuana. I have always been in favor of the legalization of marijuana. And no, I'm not a pothead. I don't smoke marijuana anymore. I mean, it's because I'm not interested. I don't. So I mean, I just got other things to do with my life. But I think on a civil liberties, personal privacy issue, that if you want to go and smoke some weed, it is your right and not the right of the state to intervene. We are um non basically victimless pleasure seeking. Nobody's being harmed for smoking marijuana. On criminal justice, police brutality, militarization of the police, civil liberties protections. Ron Paul position ain't that different from Black Lives Matter. Um, and just recently, Ron Paul declared his opposition to capital punishment, an issue that's very dear to me, probably as dear to me as Medicare for all. Yes, I favor abolishing the death penalty in all 50 states and all U.S. territories, and having the United States join the international community of nations that view the death penalty as evil. And it is not just evil; it's racist, it's classist, and it's actually unconstitutional to have the death penalty. And the death penalty needs to be abolished right now. If we're spent the last 20 years fighting against the radicals halfway across the ocean, remember those societies have the death penalty, and over bullshit crimes there are the death penalty. Do we need to be like other nations? They're despotic, or theocracies, or military dictatorships that utilize the death penalty. Do we need to be like that? Hell fucking no. Do we need to be like the communist countries of the former Soviet Union and their Eastern Bloc countries that utilize the death penalty? Hell fucking no. Do we need to be like Mussolini of Italy or Hitler of Germany that damn sure used the death penalty? Hell fucking no. The death penalty is evil. And anybody who opposes capital punishment in the year 2021 is an ally of mine. Now let's talk about the war on terror, and that is capital punishment on a planetary scale. Um, while George W. Bush and Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld, and all those fuckers were on the wrong side, and the Fox News, and even to some degree the corporate Democrats, some of the corporate Democrats and some of the neo libs in the media went along with the Bush Cheney foreign policy. Ron Paul didn't. In fact, the neocons hated Ron Paul for it. And I'm talking about the establishment of the Republican Party when he ran in 2008 and 2012. We're talking about the neocons in the media. Pretty much, Fox News was hostile to Ron Paul in 2008. I remember when I was a Dennis Kucinich supporter in 2008, and I saw how CNN were treating Dennis Kucinich. And I saw the Republican debate on Fox, and I saw how Fox were treating Ron Paul, and they treated Ron Paul in the same way that CNN was treating Dennis Kucinich. And I just started to think about it, and I was like, and then I started listening to some of the conservative radio shows at the time, whether it was Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, Mark Levin, or some of the local radio stations in the Raleigh area that runs, a conservative commentary, and all seem to be hating on Ron Paul. And I'm thinking to myself, well, they're going to hate on Ron Paul. Ron Paul might be not that bad of a fellow. Then I found out that Dennis Kucinich and Ron Paul worked together along with Bernie Sanders on legislations in the U.S. House. Prior to Bernie Sanders becoming senator in 2006, they all kind of worked together on legislations where there was common cause between the left and the libertarians. And so I was like, and I was thinking to myself, Ron Paul's a good man. I don't have to agree with him on everything. As I said, I currently don't agree with Ron Paul on everything. I probably never will agree with Ron Paul on everything. But damn it, he's good on a few issues. On torture, he's opposed to the use of torture. He was opposed to the Patriot Act being, enforced back in 2001. He favors the release and pardoning of Julian Assange and Ed Snowden on First Amendment issues, freedom of the press, that sort of thing. And he's being persecuted for expressing his First Amendment right by Facebook taking down his account, his profile. Now, as for me, as long as they're willing to permit me, I am remaining on YouTube. But I'm thinking of leaving Facebook, but I haven't decided yet. As I said, I've been noticing some little glitches lately on Facebook, intentional glitches, such as Every time I post something, is asking about community guidelines and all that. It's like there's like a ministry of truth being put on Facebook, and what business is there? Is and I'm not for spreading a false information, but then it comes to the question of free speech rights and First Amendment rights and freedom of the press rights, and who's to decide what is legitimate news. You hear Donald Trump talk about fake news, and that's dangerous rhetoric because now you got Facebook deciding what is fake news and what is not fake news. And I want to go back to the days when the First Amendment was being utilized. And when I hear some people talk about Silicon Valley socialists, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Because let me tell you, so-called Silicon Valley socialists shut down left-wing free speech too. Look at Combo Couch. If you don't know what Combo Couch is, it's hosted by Fiorella Isabel and Craig Jardula, Craig Pasa Jardula, and they're associated with the Mikasa Sakasa network, and they had had their program taken down. Yeah, I know. Alex Jones being taken down. Wah, wah, wah. Yeah, I don't agree with taking down Alex Jones's program. But why make a victim out of Alex Jones, who's an extremely wealthy man, but you go signal out Combo Couch, take them down. You know, and I'm talking about the right wing defenders of Alex Jones. Is it because they love Alex Jones and they would, if they were aware of Combo Couch, would hate Combo Couch? Well, for me, I'm kind of a fan of Combo Couch. Don't agree with everything, but I consider myself a fan. I like Combo Couch. I don't agree with anything hardly ever that Alex Jones ever had to say. Maybe at one time during the George W. Bush years and maybe the early Obama years, he was occasionally correct. But over the last 4 years, he became a total Donald Trump sycophant, indistinguishable from Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, and Glenn Beck and Mark Levin and all of that. I mean, he just screamed louder, and he was still entertaining, but he was just as bad as that crowd. So I just want to I have to convey this point. Be careful what you wish for when it comes to censoring voices you don't like, because you could be next. I could be next. Anybody could be next. And welcome to 1984 when that happens. And I want to make 1984 by George Orwell fiction again. And just to let y'all know, I miss MySpace at this point. If you like what you heard, press like and comment. If you were absolutely just outraged and clutching your pearls about what I have to say, comment anyway. We'll have a conversation. Feel free to share the content on this channel. And as a First Amendment absolutist, I say if you're passionate about something, create a platform, utilize it, because we're the muckrakers of our time. And furthermore, hit that bell, subscribe, make this channel grow. I am American Social Democracy. Peace. And Bernie Sanders for president in the year 2024.